Is there?
Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, Ataso Yuga Sandhyayam Dashu Prayeshu Rajesu Janita Vishnu Yasaso Namna Kalkir Jagat Patir. Translation. Thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as a Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasa. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. So, this is the condition. Oops. I don't need to. Yeah, so when Srimad Bhagavatam is actually describing the degradation that's actually happening in Kali Yuga, and we are at the mercy of Kali Yuga at the moment. These are the 10 predictions that were made. And when we read Kalki Puran also, at the beginning of Kalki Puran, there is the symptoms of Kali Yuga and what Kali actually looks like. And I can bring Kalki Puran, but anyway, we may go into that at some point. But it describes how Kali comes about, his brothers, sisters, sons, and all these different relatives of his, which controls Kali Yuga, influences Kali Yuga in any way.
Oh, sorry, Prabhu, on your side, there's a little bit of noise occasionally. So when you're perhaps shifting some papers or something like that. Oh, actually, we can't hear. Can you hear me, Amita Krishna?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Is it?
Yes.
I think I'll go upstairs in my room and then.
Yes, all okay now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Amita Krishna. Prabhu. So you're going to give us a tour of your ashram?
Yeah, not so bad, because just be quiet because I had some visitors in the morning, and we had a little function, bit of a religious katha type thing in the morning. So I thought it would be done by now and all that. So it lingered on a bit. So anyway, my son and they're here with his family as well. So anyway, can you hear me all right now?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if I can swap between screens and all that, but I'll just stick to the presentation here because technically I might lose something here then and wonder what's going on. So yeah, with Bhagavatam describes the degradation of Kali Yuga, but as I was saying, Kalki Puran also describes the Kali Yuga, the agents of Kali Yuga, and how they come about. And then, like any time, when the Earth planet is burdened with too much sin and too much degradation, adharma is predominating, and dharma is under threat as well. So, like the demigods also get disturbed by that because the demigods don't get any offerings made to them, and they can't provide all the facilities within the universe and can't control that as well. So it just they get disturbed. So they always approach Lord Brahma, and then Lord Brahma asks them, "Why are you here?" And then they discuss the issues. Obviously, Lord Brahma has to try to resolve this, but by going to the Shir Sagar and pray to Vishnu and Krishna, and then he gets the answer that, I will come. But also, Lord Vishnu says to demigods that you also need to make preparations and go and take incarnation on planet Earth. So that's actually what's described in the in Srimad Bhagavatam. That's how the demigods request the Lord to do something about this dharma that's taking place, and what's the solution to that. So Kali's influence is definitely gone to such a stage that these are the 10 predictions of the degradation of Kali Yuga. Although even Kalki Puran describes them in quite detail as well. So there's not going to be any mercy: religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, memory. Even memory is diminishing day by day. So these are the influence. That's one, that obviously no mercy. And second one, in Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered a sign of man's good birth, proper behavior and fine qualities. But in law and justice will be applied on the basis of one's power. So you can see that the most power and those who are wealthy can influence the law in their own favor, actually, and they use it and manipulate it. But common men generally, those who are at least seeking justice, is just possible at times. Then men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction. Success in business will depend on deceit. Womanly and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and a man is known as a Brahmin just by his wearing a thread. So just wearing a thread doesn't actually, qualify one to be a Brahmin as such. In Kali Yuga, we don't actually get proper Brahminical qualities in a person, and then they just declare themselves as Brahmins. Third prediction is that the man's spiritual position will be ascertained merely according to external symbols. And on that same basis, it will change from one spiritual order to the next. Person's propriety will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a living. And one's very clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. So you can see that, word jugglery is a trick of the day, nowadays. And the more manipulative, speculative, and that you become, then you suddenly become an expert. So experts nowadays is, even in this coronavirus crisis, experts are just being exposed to some extent, but still they're getting away with a lot, And person will be judged unholy if he does not have any money, and hypocrisy will be accepted as a virtue. This is the age of hypocrisy. Actually, Kali Yuga is the age of hypocrisy, and marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement. A person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. In this current situation, not only just taking a bath, but actually just washing your hands are important. Just washing your hand and get by is not going to help. You just got to be very clean, and that's one of the virtues of lacking now. It's a sacred place be taken to no more than a reservoir of water located at a distance, and beauty will be thought to depend on one's hairstyle. Filling the belly will become the goal of life, and one is audacious will be accepted as truthful. I don't know why I keep getting that. he who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man, and a principle of religion will be observed only for sake of reputation. So just to maintain reputation, I might just try and follow some basic religious principles. At the most, try and be moral or be good. That's about it. But actual spiritual life, nobody tries to understand or to learn more about it, and practice actually as well. So just to, on that basis, we can actually experience this, as the earth thus becomes crowded with a corrupt population. Whoever among the social classes shows himself to be the strongest will gain political power. So general public are left at the mercy of these wretched, government officials and bureaucracy and ministers that just don't have. I mean, even in the local councils, we are influenced by how much tax we pay, but still the councillors sit at the desks and rubber stamp so many projects and all that, all in their favor half the time. And we see so many local councils also not doing their job properly, but still influencing, just collecting tax most of the time. And general public don't get proper service either. We're at the mercy of these sort of people now. Now, as far as, like even this coronavirus is actually like a big catastrophe that's fallen upon, but famine, natural disasters, earthquakes and all that would be quite common, but be left at their mercy. Harassed by famine, excessive taxes, people will be resort to eating leaves, roots, flesh, wild honey, fruits, and seeds. Stuck by drought, they will be completely ruined. So economic disasters is there as well. Like you said, economic drought, you would say economic drought, jobs, jobs, jobs. Well, that's quite nice graphics here, but we can experience that in our daily life. It's not a joke anymore, is it? The citizens will suffer greatly from cold, wind, heat, rain, snow, and tormented by quarrels, hunger, thirst, severe anxiety. So you can see mental health is one of the big issues in the society these days. And with this coronavirus and the lockdown and all that, and people are suffering even more. So, these are real predictions mentioned even in Bhagavatam. And the maximum duration of life in Kali Yuga will be about 50 years. So these are like the 10 predictions made for Kali, Kali Yuga. But as the, Kali and Kali's agents thrive, cleanliness and truthfulness is just about what's hanging on. As in Srimad Bhagavatam describes how Kali was just about to cut off the legs of the cow and the bull and just one leg left. And Maharaj Parikshit approaches him and says, "Why are you doing this?" And then, he was given, obviously when somebody surrenders to a personality like Maharaj Parikshit, then he has to protect him, give him shelter, because he's surrendered to him. So Kali surrenders to Maharaj Parikshit. But then because he surrendered, he can't actually punish him, but even give him place. So Kali, he said, well, in your kingdom, there is no place where I can stay. Where would I be able to stay in your empire? And then Kali's, had to be given some place to reside, and he was Maharaj Parikshit that you can reside where there is uncleanliness, where there is gambling, where there is intoxication, where there's illicit sex, in those sort of places you can thrive. And then one of the place that he was given is where there is pride and where there is gold and false wealth. So then, he obviously attacks Maharaj Parikshit because his crown was made out of gold. So he immediately went into the crown and then resided there. And suddenly Maharaj Parikshit experienced pride, and then he got cursed by the Brahmin boy. And then he was given 7 days to live, but at least that was some sort of blessing in disguise that, Maharaj Parikshit then had to approach so many sadhus for some solution when he surrenders. And then, Sutta Goswami appears to show him direction by reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was the solution, but Srimad Bhagavatam is now the answer to the symptoms of Kali Yuga. So these are the 10 predictions of Kali Yuga, but Lord Kalki has been predicted. So when Kali Yuga deteriorates, as predicted in the 2nd chapter of 12th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, many scriptures that Lord Kalki will appear has been foretold. So Lord Kalki will appear in the home of the most eminent Brahman of Shambhala village, great soul Vishnu Yasha. So when we actually think of, avatars, or it's actually, it has to be verified in the Shastras and by other sadhus. And so this has been mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Kalki will appear, when. And it's also about Lord Chaitanya. It's been mentioned that, he will come as a Gupta avatar, is a hidden incarnation. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, but Lord Kalki will appear as well, endowed with 8 superhuman faculties. So there'll be some superhuman faculties. What sort of Vishnu Purana actually mentions that. He will restore order and peace in this world, overcrowded with creatures and contradictory to its laws. He will be the destroyer of all, and he will be the maker of the new Yuga, Satya Yuga. So that's also in Mahabharata, that Kalki will establish Satya Yuga. Lord Kalki will end the age of Kali and will kill all the wicked mlechas, low class and evil beings, destroy the bad conditions of the world. So that's something that we think we can look forward to, but that's whether we'll be around it. But this word non-Aryans, when the non-Aryans who pose as kings begin devouring men, who appear righteous and feed on human beings, Kalki, as a son of Vishnu Yasha, and Yagnavalka, as his priest and teacher, will destroy these non-Aryans with his weapons. He will establish moral law in the form of the 4-fold Varnas, or the suitable organization of society in the 4 classes. After that, people will return to the path of righteousness. That's in Agni Purana. But this word Aryan, they always talk about the Germans when they, Hitler and all that, they think they were the Aryan race, and he wanted to establish an Aryan race. But this word Arya, they've actually taken it from Krishna, because Krishna actually refers to Arjuna as a Arya Putra. So this Aryan civilization and the Aryan qualities of spiritual civilization existed in Bharatvarsh. But Bharatvarsh was, in many ways, the whole empire, a whole planet was referred to as Bharatvarsh, not just a small piece of land now, which is, they all try to refer to it as Bharatvarsh now, but that's the actual word. But this word here, non-Aryans, is mentioned here. Narayan shall appear in one of his rays in the form of a great Kalki as a son of that Brahman. He will be mounted on a very big horse and holding a sword in his hand. That's one of the qualities of Kalki avatar. In the scriptures, the name of the place where Lord Kalki will appear, the name of the family in which he will be born are mentioned. It's important to understand that the avatars of the Lord are specifically predicted in the scriptures, as I mentioned earlier on. So the family of the Kalki will be qualified Brahmins. That means that a disciple in the family line of spirituality, qualified Brahmins, will remain on the planet throughout the age of Kali, no matter how bad things get. So as we say, no matter how bad the things are in Kali Yuga, and one may think that there are no saintly people at all, but there's always saintly people around, and there always will be. It's just a matter of for us looking for them, finding their association. That's really the case. But there's always going to be saintly people, because they actually, it's their lotus feet that touch the earth, and even Krishna when he came, Lord Chaitanya when he came, the Mother Earth actually feels the burden lessening by their presence. So though they may be hidden, living in a small village somewhere, it'll be this line of bhaktas or spiritual devotees of the Vedic tradition from which the bluish black Lord Kalki will appear in the future. So there will be line of this disciplic succession. So like I say, it's mentioned that, even Krishna gives this knowledge to Vivaswan, then Vivaswan passes to Ikshvaku, Ikshvaku to Manu, and then Krishna says this knowledge disappears or gets lost. But saintly qualities are never lost. So Krishna can come and re-establish the Dharma again. He does that with Arjun. So like that, even in the future, in Kali Yuga, there will be a line of disciplic succession of pure devotees who will be carrying on. Even in Bharat, during the time of British Raj, they looted everything. The Mughals looted everything. But they looted a lot of material things, They took away the Vedas, Vedic scriptures that had knowledge of science and weaponry and all that sort of thing. But the real knowledge of Bhakti and Srimad Bhagavatam and was in the hands of a few selected line of parampara, which was, one of them was obviously in Lord Chaitanya's lineage, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and they were very, very highly scholarly in bhaktas, Vaishnavas, and they came and, they keep that spiritual knowledge. So that wasn't lost at all from Bharat in India. So like that, even in future, as the Kali Yuga degrades even more, there will be bhaktas and spiritual line of this will exist. And in that line, somewhere along the line, there'll be Lord Kalki appearing. Kalki will be born from a Brahman who is actually an incarnation of Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva performed austerities on the banks of Gomati River to have Lord Vishnu as his son in the 3 different times. Lord Vishnu, being pleased with Swayambhuva, granted the blessings that he would appear as Swayambhuva's son as Lord Ram, Krishna, and Kalki. Thus, Swayambhuva will appear as Dasharath, Vasudeva, and then Vishnu Yasha, Padma Purana. So it's not Lord will not just appear in any ordinary family. And these are all individuals like Swayambhuva who actually did lots and lots of tapasyas, and they prayed that the Lord can appear as one of their sons. And that's what Lord fulfills their desires. And so further explanations are given in Kalki Purana after hearing everything that the demigods had to say regarding the situation on earth. Lord Vishnu said, "O Brahman, rest assured that I will soon descend onto the earth and appear in the village known as Shambhala. I will take birth in the house of a Brahman named Vishnu Yasha from the womb of his wife Sumati. My mission will be to eliminate the wicked Kali and his influence with the help of my 4 brothers. O demigods, your expansion should also take birth on the earth to assist me in my mission. And my consort, the beloved lotus-eyed Kamala Devi, will also appear on the earth, having the name Padma. She will be born from the womb of Komadi, the wife of Brihadratha, the king of Shimla. O demigods, you should not delay. By your plenary portions, take birth on the earth. Later on, I will entrust the responsibility for ruling the earth to 2 powerful kings named Maru and Devapi. I will then again establish Satyayug and then thus reinstate the principles of religion as they were before. Rest assured that I will return to Vaikuntha only after destroying the poisonous snake, Kali. Thus, it's important to consider these factors to understand that not just anyone can claim to be Kalki, which many ordinary or even unscrupulous men may try to do. Unfortunately, in this age, there are many cheaters and many who want to be cheated. When someone claims that they are God or that this person or that person is God, if we understand the qualifications of God, we will not be cheated. So in the Kalki Purana, the Parshuram, as Kalki's teacher, explains to Kalki after his training what his mission will be. You have learnt the art of discharging arrows from me. You will take transcendental knowledge from Sukadev Goswami. You will be awarded a powerful weapon by Lord Shiva. Thereafter, you will marry a woman named Padma from the island of Shimla. Your mission will be to re-establish Sanatan Dharma. Thereafter, you will set out to conquer the entire world, and in the course of that conquest, you will defeat many sinful kings who are representatives of Kali. And you will also annihilate many followers of Buddhism. And finally, you will entrust the responsibility of ruling the world to Devapi and Maru. So this will be the mission of Lord Kalki. But obviously, Lord Kalki will be trained by Parshuram as well. The Kalki Purana goes on to explain the search for this nefarious person known as Kali. Lord Kalki would go to the favorite places of this personality, the playgrounds of inauspicious characters such as ghosts, foxes, and jackals. These places are permeated with foul odor of decaying beef and infested with crows and owls. Kali's domain can be found wherever there is gambling and intoxication. Kali's favorite places of residence are always causes of fear and danger. Men in Kali Yuga are completely under the demanding sway of gratifying their senses with no moral foundation. Why Kalki would pursue the agents of personality of Kali is explained also in Kalki Purana. Because they transgressed all the Vedic principles of religion, all these relatives and agents of Kali are the destroyers of sacrifice, which is a religious rites. So we all have to perform some sort of religious rites and religious. So even for our forefathers, we do that, Shraddha ceremony and all that. And Lord, even Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita says that, if there is unwanted population, there'll be no sacrifices for the forefathers and ancestors, and they'll suffer as well. So this sacrifice is important to be done. And the study of Vedas are important as well, charity work. So, and then they're the reservoirs of mental distress, disease, old age, destruction of religious principles. These are all places where Kali actually resides, and his disturbances are caused. These descendants of Kali are found wandering everywhere throughout the kingdom of Kali. Misguided people who are due to lusty desires are extremely sinful, very proud, and even violent to their own fathers and mothers. Even those who are known as twice-born Brahmins are devoid of all good behavior, without any observance of proper etiquette. So this thing about, violent towards their own fathers and mothers, we see that actually, the children lash out to their fathers and mothers, and especially mothers. When I was working in a young offenders institute some time ago, I retired last year, but I worked there for nearly 10 years. I only came across one Hindu boy. There's always lots and lots of, unfortunately, more indigenous white, okay, they're always involved in drugs and all that, more blacks, there are lots of Muslim boys, but I hardly came across any Sikh or Hindus somehow. The young boys, there came across one, and his crime was basically hitting his mother. He was too violent towards his own mother, and he hit her quite badly. Came across one person who, obviously seeing his father being very violent towards his mother, he lashed out at him with a hammer, killed him. Unfortunately, he was doing time for that. But, you get individuals who are suffering and so misguided like that. Some of Lord Kalki's activities are described in Puranas. He will wander over the planets without being seen by anyone. It's not very easy to recognize him. Then he will start his campaign in his 32nd year and roam the earth for 20 years. He will take with him a big army of horses, chariots, and elephants, surrounded by hundreds and thousands of spiritually purified Brahmins armed with weapons. Even being Brahmins, these weapons will be Brahminical weapons that are activated by mantras rather than weapons of combat such as guns and all that. So you can see, these sort of weapons did exist at the time, because, Ashwatthama releases a Brahmastra, and then, Krishna obviously protects Maharaj Parikshit in the womb of Uttara. So these weapons actually existed, and they do exist as well, even now. But we can't activate them. We only know weapons, guns, and things like that, destructive. Lord Kalki will mount his swift white horse Devadatta and sword in hand travel over the earth, exhibiting his 8 mystic opulences and 8 special qualities of Godhead. He will duly give birth, he will give away this earth at a great horse ritual to the Brahmins, and will then enter a charming forest. The Vishnu Purana continues to explain Lord Kalki's activities. By his irresistible might, he will destroy all the mlechas and thieves. All those minds are devoted to iniquity. He will re-establish righteousness upon the earth. The minds of those who live at the end of the Kali Yuga shall be awakened and shall be clear as crystals. So once you're out of this influence of Kali Yuga, the mind becomes very crystal clear. The men who are thus changed by virtue of that particular time shall be as the seeds of human beings, shall give birth to a race that will follow the laws of a Krita age, Satyuga, the age of purity. As it said, when the sun and moon and the lunar asterism, Tishya, and the planet Jupiter are in one mansion, the Krita age shall return. So these sort of astrological arrangements do take precedent, and the Satyuga will follow. After Lord Kalki has removed all the nefarious and wicked kings, rulers, and people, the atheist religion had also been abolished by the real spiritual process of Sanatana Dharma. Lord Kalki returned from his wanderings over the planet to remain in the village of Shambhala. Lord Kalki continued to reside in the village of Shambhala along with his brothers for 1,000 years, relatives and associates. The entire village of Shambhala, which was as good as heavenly planets, appeared very beautiful with its assembly houses, gates, raised platforms, and flags flapping in the breeze that has been placed here and there. Anyone who gave up his material body in Shambhala was freed from all sinful reaction and avoid shelter the lotus feet of Lord Kalki. So, Kalki Purana also described Lord Krishna made arrangements for the management of the territory for peaceful existence. Thereafter, the unlimitedly powerful Lord Kalki continued to reside at residence, and he gave various lands to King Vishakarupa to rule. Lord Kalki ordered his son Kritavarma to rule numerous other kingdoms. Lord Kalki respectfully offered heaps of jewels and other kinds of wealth to the citizens of Shambhala. He then continued to happily reside as a householder along with his wife Rama and Padmavati. It was at this time that Satya Yuga recommenced. By the order of Lord Kalki, the two kings Madhu and executed their duties of protecting the people of the world. Lord Kalki further relates the auspicious conditions that were found when Lord Kalki ruled the planet. As time went on, the day finally arrived Lord Kalki to return to the spiritual residence. The Kalki Purana describes what happened. One day, after hearing the prayers of the demigods, Lord Kalki ecstatically expressed his own desire to return to Vaikuntha, his spiritual abode, taking with him his eternal associates. Thereafter, Lord Kalki summoned his 4 very powerful sons, all of whom were very dear to the citizens because they were very pious and influential, and handed over the rule of the kingdom to them. The Lord then addressed his subjects, revealing his intention. Lord Kalki said, "At the request of the demigods, I will return to Vaikuntha." When the inhabitants of Shambhala heard this, they were shocked and began shedding tears of grief. Just as sons addressed their fathers, the people began speaking to the Lord and offering their obeisances. After hearing the prayers of his subject, Lord Kalki pacified them as far as possible. They departed the forest, taking with him his 2 consorts, Padmavati and Rama. Thereafter, Lord Kalki, surrounded by many sages, traveled to the Himalaya mountains. The Lord sat on the sides of the Ganges and then assumed his 4-armed form while entering deep into meditation upon himself. In this way, Lord Kalki enacted his pastimes of disappearance from this world with his consorts. So it is kind of predicted, but Lord Kalki Puran takes as if this has already taken place. It's quite interesting the way, Kalki Puran is written, and somebody may think, this has already happened. But don't forget, this Lord Kalki appeared in the end of Kali Yuga. It's got still 400,000 years or so to go yet. But however, even Maharaj, Guru Maharaj used to explain to us, he prayed for Lord Kalki to appear, and he always encourages Kalki. He was a devotee of Lord Kalki actually. And in Mahadam, Maharaj also installed the deities of Kalki. And
there's a question about this point. Thank you for going through this, really nice. Sorry to disturb you there. Just this point about why we are celebrating appearance of Kalki who hasn't yet appeared. So we did actually ask that to Guru Maharaj when we were celebrating Kalki Jayanti when he was present.
Yeah.
And he made one point that actually Lord Kalki has already appeared in previous Kali Yuga, previous Mahayuga. So that's why we're honoring the appearance of Lord Kalki, which is always to honor the appearance of the Supreme Lord is always very auspicious. And as you said, also, you know, this age is advancing so fast. Kali is already eating its life so much. So Guru Maharaj and his Guru Maharaj, you know, they were keen to call upon Lord Kalki to arrive sooner rather than later, because the age of Kali is sort of being eaten up with all the sinful activities that are going on. So I thought I'd just make that point, because a couple of devotees have asked this question today already. Why are we celebrating in advance? Of course, we're not celebrating in advance in the sense that he's already appeared in previous Kali Yuga, so we're celebrating those pastimes. And maybe the Kalki Puran also referring to them in the past sense is because he's already appeared in previous yugas.
Yeah, and also yeah, like you said, you know, Maharaj used to say that, you know, Kali may want to live 400,000 years or 400,000 years and more, but one can shorten one's life, you know. Even we think we want to live 100 years, but if we don't live properly and don't look after whatever, you know, we can shorten our lives as well. But also in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, in the, I think the second chapter, we covered that a little bit. In the 11th chapter, when Prabhupada actually explains in the purport that, you know, a day of Brahma and a night of Brahma. In a day of Brahma, there's so many kalpas, you know, and each kalpa. So there's, you know, 4 yugas make a kalpa. There's Satya Yuga, then there's Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Like seasons that come. We get 4 seasons in a year. In 1 year, we get summer, winter, and all that, and that makes a year. Then when next year, when the same seasons come, we experience the symptoms of those seasons, like we are in the summer now, but we forget what it was like in the winter, you know. And when the winter comes, we think, oh, we're looking forward to the summer. So like that, there are so many kalpas, you know, they are Brahma, and the Brahma lives for 100 years, and it's just so many yugas come and go and come and go, and so many times the avatars have to come and go. And Kali Yuga, you know, Kali has been, Kalki has appeared so many times, not just within one universe, there's so many universes as well. And there are so many Brahmas as well, you know, each universe has got a Brahma. And then that Brahma lives for about 100 years. But in all these, you know, in the grand scale of things, this is still, in the whole eternity of time, this is just a minuscule time scale, you know. So,
hello.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is so confusing.
Yes, Suresh.
Yeah, it's so confusing. You've confused me. I'm confused.com today. Lord Kalki, I thought we were nearing the Kali Yuga.
Sorry?
I thought we were nearing the end of Kali Yuga.
No, Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. We're roughly 5,000 to 300 years into Kali Yuga. So it's got yet a long way to go.
So if we divide that by 100, that means that is how many janams we are going to take.
1,000 more. No, but
oh God.
But
So
ideally, we are very fortunate actually. This part of Kali Yuga has just seen the departure of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 530, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's regarded that this part of Kali Yuga, actually for the next 10,000 years, it is spirituality. If one takes to spirituality, one can make very swift progress. And actually, within this very life, attempt to go back to the spiritual world. Because we're living in Kali Yuga where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and distributed this love of Godhead simply by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading the scriptures, taking prasad, associating with devotees like we're doing. So we can really take advantage of this Kali Yuga and this particular time by making swift progress back to the spiritual world. So we're very, very fortunate.
And I think we just live for today, for the
Absolutely.
moment,
For the
and
moment.
that's it. And don't wait for thousands of years.
Correct.
Just do good
Do it
things
now.
now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Just live for now.
That's it. Live
Well,
for now, but live it in Krishna consciousness. So anytime death comes, we're ready.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Suresh. I appreciate your
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mother Simple, please carry on.
Yeah. So you know, when I remember Gaur Govinda Maharaj coming one time in Coventry, and he's listened to his lecture and all that, and he was a great Vaishnava, and he actually explained and made sense to me, was that Kali resides in those four places where there's gambling, intoxication, and meat eating, and there's well, obviously that's no mercy. There's no mercy where there's a lot of meat eating and cow killing going on, all that. So when Lord Chaitanya came and established the spiritual principles, lay down these four principles of no gambling, no meat, fish, and eggs, and no intoxication, no illicit sex, all that sort of principles. Once he declared those principles, and even Prabhupada, when he came and he encouraged his disciples that these are the four principles, stick with that and chant Hare Krishna and you'll be all right. But this is exactly the opposite of where Kali resides. Kali resides, and then in those places where there is intoxication going on. So this is like Lord Chaitanya came and declared war on Kali. And Kali fights back, you know. Kali's agents are everywhere. And therefore, whenever you take on to the path of, I want to stop eating meat, I want to show mercy to these animals, then you get opposition. Kali's agents rise and say, but why do you want to show mercy? Why do you want to stop eating meat? So it's just healthy for you. Oh, no. Even the family members will argue with you. And a small child, you know, I saw an advert the other day. This boy is sitting there and they're actually advertising a burger which is made out of beetroot rather than beef. So he wants to eat the beetroot burger, but his father is arguing with him. And the son says, but that's just who I am now. I want to be merciful. I don't want to eat this beef burger. So the advertisement is trying to encourage more people eating burgers made out of beetroot rather than beef. But this is the symptom, you know, the people will fight back. Kali's agents will fight back. They'll encourage you. Why do you want to stop drinking? Intoxication is nice, you know, plenty of drugs around. I can get you whatever you want, you know, LSD, you know. When I used to work with these young boys, they were young drug dealers, they were drug traffickers. And they were always working for someone else who was higher up. And this gang was linked up to officials who were corrupt. They were making the most money. They were all linked up to some of the powerful politicians. They control the market. Young boys are just out in the street, you know. This is where Kali's agents are sitting and controlling. And so therefore, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and said, you know, this is the spiritual path. This is on the way to bhakti. Chant Hare Krishna. No meat eating, no illicit sex. And Kali fights back and said, these are, in the Lord Chaitanya has declared war on Kali already. So in our practice in everyday life, if we can remain in that shelter of Lord Chaitanya, just keep chanting, avoid all these different uncleanliness, no mercy, you know, stop eating meat, no intoxication, all that, then we'll be safe under the umbrella of Lord Chaitanya. Otherwise, Kali's agents are going to pull us apart. That's for sure. And the only way it keeps us protected is by keeping the association of devotees. Because once once you've given up and you've taken on to these 4 principles of no meat eating, no gambling, no, it's actually a life which is different, and you're surrounded by Kali's agents. It just becomes a very difficult path for us. But we are lucky that Lord Chaitanya has given this kind of time period, and it's shown his mercy, and say, if you carry on to this path, remain under the shelter of a spiritual guide, like Srila Prabhupada is a Jagat Guru. He came and distributed this so freely. And if we can try and understand bit by bit, and remain under the shelter of Lord Chaitanya, then Kali's influence will not be that strong in our personal life as well. And it will be protected. And then who knows for how many thousands of years we will want to keep coming and back and coming, living, all that. But once you take into this path, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna will protect us. And ultimately, who knows when Lord Kalki will be at his time or not. But here it says, His Holiness Krishna Swami installed those Kalki deities. But like I said, this is a Kalki avatar on a white horse with a sword. And these are the deities that Maharaj installed in Kalki Dham, as they call it. And that's the Kalki Aarti. So Navi, thank you for letting me share this. And I know I'm not used to giving this kind of presentations that often, but
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Madhusudan Prabhu.
is it all right if I shared?
I think it's good. I think devotees will also have questions or maybe realizations, maybe comments.
Yeah.
Are there any questions by any devotees about Kalki Avatar and why he will appear, how he will appear, when he'll appear? Bhavani?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, where is this Shambhala?
Shambhal. That's in Uttar Pradesh, and I can tell you who knows a lot more. Apparently, I went there one time with Guru Maharaj and Uddhav, and I'd forgotten all about it. Uddhav, are you on the call? Yes.
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji. I'm on the call. So it is in the Moradabad district in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
It takes about 3 hours from Delhi temple.
Roughly, yeah, 3-4 hours. And then there are also other places called Sambal in other parts of the world also. So we never know, the Lord may trick and appear in any of those places.
Thank you.
And Bhavani, you don't want to be there at that time, huh?
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Uddhav, you want to share anything about Shambal?
There's not much, but yeah, so there are a few temples of Lord Kalki there.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is that there are a lot of Muslim people there. It is a Muslim majority area somehow. And there is one thing common between Mathura, Shambhal and Ayodhya. In all these places where the Lord appeared or is going to appear, there are big mosques, and there's like a conflict, a Hindu-Muslim kind of a conflict. So we know in Krishna Janmabhoomi, where we have that temple, right, which was the jail where Lord appeared, there is a mosque which is touching walls with the temple. And Ayodhya, world famous, everyone knows the conflict. And the same thing is in Shambhal. There is big mosque right at that place right now. So
right. Right. Yeah, I sort of recall a little bit, but not too much about Shambhala. There was one temple we went to in Jaipur, a Kalki temple, and they have a horse in the foreyard, which is called Devadatt, and it is said that when the Kalki appears, Devadatt, this horse will actually turn into Devadatt, isn't it? So that's quite interesting. Quite an interesting revelation there. Anybody else? Any questions?
Hare Krishna, yeah. Just wonder, you said Kalki came in the previous yuga, but I thought Kali Yuga was the final yuga, and how's that repeated? I don't. That's what I'm confused about.
Because what's going to happen when this Kali Yuga ends? We have another Mahayuga take place of the 4 yugas: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So it keeps going, and there's 72 of these cycles.
72. Oh, okay.
72 in just one Manvantara.
Right.
And there's 14 Manvantaras in Brahma's one day.
Right.
And that's only 12 hours.
Yeah.
So it's unlimited times, actually. The Lord takes avatars, his avatars come. But also Kalki comes many, many times, even in 12 hours of Lord Brahma. So at the end of each Kali Yuga, he will appear. So it's many times. Many times.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
It is confusing. It is, of course, unlimited.
Yeah. Because I always thought about it as 4 yugas, and I didn't realize they were repeating.
Yeah. They repeat. Okay. I can give you the facts and figures once we did the presentation already. So I'll forward that presentation to you. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely incredible, and it demonstrates how there's a saying there's one verse in the Bhagavatam which says that as many waves there are in the ocean, and uncountable waves, there are uncountable incarnations of the Lord. So it's just mind-blowing stuff. It's just amazing.
Because I know in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions as well that the dharma will cause destruction, devastation, and he'll appear and uproot and restore peace in this dharma. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kalki is very much in that mood of destroying the miscreants, and he starts the Satya Yuga all over again. Yeah. So when he comes, he destroys the demons. After a few years, he destroys the demons. And then the new age of Satya Yuga starts. And that's really hard for us to imagine, because there'll have to be quite a wholesale destruction of everything to start afresh.
Yeah. Right. Thank you,
Ravi. Thank you, Amita Krishna.
Haribol Nabi, I have something to say.
Yes.
Haribol. When at the end of Kali Yuga, when it's all destroyed, my understanding is that this current universe that we've got at the moment will be destroyed completely. So unless, are you saying that the Satyug will start on this planet again? Is that what you're saying? I thought the whole universe, the current universe, will be destroyed completely.
So we've got another 5-6 hours. So I think I'll open up the other presentation and we'll go through it. Actually, what happens, only the universe is completely destroyed only one time. And that is at the end of Brahma's life. So this universe will exist for 311 trillion years.
Right.
It is 100 years of Lord Brahma. When his 100 years is over, this universe collapses and everything goes back to Lord Vishnu's body. And then when Lord Vishnu breathes out again, all the universes come out And for another 311 trillion years, they continue to exist. So in one day of Brahma, which is 12 hours, there are 72 times 14, whatever number that is, 1,000 odd, Kali Yugs, Mahayugs. So 1,000 Satyugs come, there's 1,000 cycles. It keeps on going. There's sometimes a gap between the Mahayugas. So after Kali Yuga, the Satyuga will start again, but there'll be a little gap just to realign so that Satyuga can prosper again. But it doesn't, the universe does not finish, and we are approximately 50 years into the life of Lord Brahma, 50 years. So yet the universe's life is 156 trillion years left. So these cycles will just continue over and over and over and over again.
Excuse me, Prabhuji.
And the idea.
How does the Gyan continue then?
Oh, Krishna always comes and he gives the Gyan. Do you remember in its 4th chapter? Krishna says, I come and I give this knowledge. At the beginning of time, I gave it to Vivaswan, the sun god, and Vivaswan gave it to Ikshwaku. Continuously pass, this knowledge comes from the Supreme Lord, comes through the sages, through Vyas. In every Mahayug, every Dwapayug, there will be a Vyasdev. And Vyasdev is one who gives all the Vedic knowledge. Knowledge never ceases. It's always there. Sometimes it's hidden. In Kali Yuga, after another maybe 9,000 years, it will be completely hidden. But it's there. It's just, you won't find it. There is hardly any sages who will be able to give this knowledge. Even the books will be gone.
Because Gyan is full of ocean.
Yes, but sometimes it's hidden.
Yeah, but the continuation is how would how to, okay, a person survives only 100 years, 150 years at the most. I don't know. I've not seen anybody more than 104, 110 or something like that. I've not heard about that. But how does, obviously everybody comes and goes. But as the yugas pass by, I know it's 427 yugas we still have to go through. But it's amazing how the jnana is transferred through the Vedas.
Correct.
Because Vedas by nature, they're spiritual nature. Spiritual nature never goes through the cycle of birth, death, all that disease, existence, non-existence. It's just eternal. It's just there. Like we are, as Atma, we are just there all the time. It's our bodies that go through time, influence of time. We go through birth, death, or disease, or whatever. And so spiritual, anything that's spiritual will always be eternally there. So Vedas are eternal, they're knowledge. But so when the material universes come into manifestation or existence again, they come through like with the instruction manuals, which are like the Vedas, so they will never disappear. And then the spiritual entities will always be there. They never disappear at all. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor these kings, or nor you and me. So, nor you. So, Krishna, first of all, tries to make Arjuna understands what is a Jivatattva, what is the eternal, the nature of the spiritual soul, which is eternal. It just always will be there. And when the annihilations take place, when Brahma's day finishes, then all these kalpas finish. The universes go through cycles of birth, death. They appear, then they disappear. The jivas are all the time there. They might lie dormant within the body of Vishnu or whatever, but never disappeared. And like, I think Nabi's got this slide here, where he says one lifetime of Brahma is, I mean, you just cannot imagine. But I want to give this relativity. Think of a bacteria that living on your skin. That bacteria might live. I know we used to do an experiment. Some bacteria only live for 20 minutes.
Seconds even.
Yeah, sometimes they look at this virus. How long is this virus supposed to be able to exist? If it doesn't take over your body, that is, you know, on its own, the virus can only live for so many days. That's it. So when the virus is thinking, how long do the humans live, you know? And the virus is sitting there thinking, you know, these guys live for eternity. And so we are like that, you know, we're thinking of Brahma and thinking, how many years does Brahma live, you know? And in a day of Brahma, so many universes are coming and going. We are going through cycles of, like, how many seasons? We've lived 100 years on this planet. How many summers have we experienced? You know, so it's like that. It's all relative in one sense within the material world, but spiritual knowledge and spiritual personalities like Krishna and his associates and all that, and we are as part and parcel of Krishna. We are eternally there all the time, going through different things according to our desires and all that. And Kali is one of those personalities that has to have a time span to live. Krishna grants him that. Yes, you be Kali, and you exist for so many years, and this is your influence. And if we say, oh, you know, Kali shouldn't exist, then who are we to? Yeah.
So just to answer Lokanath Prabhu's question.
Yeah.
We've just made him into a sannyasi. But there's 994 Mahayugs in one day of Brahma. Just one day. And he lives for 100 years. So these Mahayugs mean Kali Yuga, Satyayug, Satyayug, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And at the moment, we are approximately halfway through Lord Brahma's life. And it's 1128 in Lord Brahma's land at the moment. So it's not the case that after every Kali Yuga, there's a destruction of the universe. Is that okay, Lokanath Prabhu?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to put some kind of perspective on it.
Not easy.
some kind of scale, and it's just mind-boggling.
Our scales. But it's actually easy to understand. It's just we have to do it systematically. And if we do it systematically, then here is an example. This is Satyayug, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. And one Mahayuga is 4.3 million years. And there's 71 of these Mahayugas in one life of Manu. And there's 14 Manus in the one day of Brahma. It's way beyond our tiny brains to get around, to work it out. But actually, when you do it systematically, it sort of makes sense. It just shows us how vast, how inconceivable the Lord is, and how small we are. And Jayanti made a point that Vyasadeva, and this is really to Suresh, Vyasadeva already continues to live actually in the Himalayas. This knowledge is never lost because Vyasadeva continues to exist.
Thank you.
Okay, nice one, thank you. I think what Madhusudan explained earlier, what the virus is on our body, the time limit on it, it makes sense. And you can relate to it and you can say yes regarding Brahma's time and ours. Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
This is a graphically we've done it. This is Lord Brahma, and then one day of Brahma is called a kalpa. One day of Brahma lasts 4.32 billion years, and then in one day there's 14 manvantaras. This is one manvantara. There's 71 Kali Yugs, I mean Mahayugs, and then we look at one small portion of the time of manvantara. And it is Satyayug, Tatyayug, Dwapayug, Kali. So actually, in the scale of things, we are very, very tiny. This is the whole point. But we are thinking we're the, center of the universe, which is ironic, really.
And yet, Krishna is so merciful and kind. And he can reveal himself if he wants to.
Yeah.
If he wants to, and still connect with us on our minute scale. Because he's there everywhere, even within an atom. So he understands our desires. He understands our difficulties and challenges, and he helps us along, and he guides us along in our path. So when we do have our desire and do want to take this shelter, but Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, ultimately in the end, when we come to the end of Bhagavad Gita, says, just surrender to me and I'll get rid of all your sinful reactions, and you come to me, and still he's guiding, so yeah. Thank you very much.
That's good. Damodar, you have
yes, I got comment here, one of the comment, about 427,000 years in Kali Yuga left now, but I thinking that it's going very fast. It will be going very fast. That will be very, very short time. It will finish before that, I think, before that. Because if you see now, the people are dying now, COVID-19, now people dying, and so many things happening. So many things will happen in that period of time, and people will die in shortage and memory losing. So many symptoms of Kali Yuga now. We mentioned just like virus, bacteria. That will be happen. Is going very, very fast. If you see the year is going very fast, next year will be going very fast. Yes, you can see the age period of the year is going degrees and degrees, and that's what I'm thinking. That will be, and 427 years very fast. Before that, I think that's my comment here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Guru Maharaj and the Charyas in that line are saying, that Kali Yuga is eating its pious activities very fast. So it's committing so much sin that it's reducing its life. And yeah, as you said, we're seeing COVID-19 is perhaps a arm of Kalki Avatar, who's come to make some adjustments. Interesting what's happening in the world nowadays.
Haribol Nabi.
Hare Krishna. Priyavara. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Prabhu, we've got a live darshan of Kalkiji and Kalki Dam. Can we put it on?
Yes. Okay, you can. I am stopping sharing, so please go ahead.
Amal, you can take it around.
Oh, yes. And who is showing this?
Tamal.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. Jaya Kalki Dar Bhagavan Hare, Kalki Dar Bhagavan Hare, Nishkalanka Bhagavan Hare, Jaya Kalki Dar Bhagavan Hare. We can't see. Okay, let me just.
I'm not sure. How do you share the screen?
Let me spotlight you. Where are you? Okay. So this is Hanumanji. Very
Hanumanji.
Jai Hanuman. Bajrang Bali Hanuman Ji ki jai. Tamal. So can we see Tamal as well?
Tamal, do you want your darshan as well?
Yeah. Go Mata ki jai.
Go, Mata.
Jai Go Mata ki jai.
Very good. Very good. Go.